Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to GameFace TLDR, episode 468. All the same information and entertainment you're used to getting from GameFace in 1/3 of the time. We have a great episode for you guys this week. Basically, E3 happened in February this week with Sony's big new State of Play. Also, we're going to review Mario Tennis Fever, Romeo is a Dead Man, and so much more. And alongside me for this awesome couple hours of video game discussion, of course, is the one and the only, the incomparable Matthew Keil. How are you, Matt?
All right. Couple hours. You're very optimistic.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes, as usual. Welcome to GameFace. Unfortunately, we're having, once again, and I will promise you this will be the last time that we're going to deal with this, but we're going to have problems.
There's some statements.
I know. We have problems with our chat PC again today. I am taking that thing home today, and I am fixing it. I'm not dealing with this anymore. So as of right now, we cannot see you guys. We cannot see chat at all. I think, Matt, you have them on your phone or something?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. Twitch is being weird.
No. Well, we'll try to stay and connect with you guys through our phones until our computer hopefully pops up and we can get you guys into the show. But for now, it's going to be just Matt and I. How's your week been, Matt?
It was good.
Yeah.
I mean,
had a little birthday celebration this weekend.
Mostly the birthday thing.
That was cool.
Yeah. Got to see just about everybody I know in SoCal.
I think that's about it, though. Things are kind of slow in the industry right now as far as news. It was a very slow news week because PlayStation dominated the news cycle this week because it had a massive State of Play that I would argue is kind of on par with some of the E3 press conferences it's had in the past because it's the only one in town now. It's the only platform that really matters for that stuff. So it kind of has the pick of the litter as far as what it wants to show in its State of Play.
Although a lot of it was stuff that was on everything else. So
yeah, I mean,
there's a lot of stuff in that looked really cool, but I'm like, well, I'm going to play that on PC, you know.
Does it matter though? Well, PC, you're right, yeah. But like as far as Xbox is concerned, like it doesn't matter anymore.
No, I'm never talking about Xbox.
Yeah, I guess we don't anymore. I'm struggling to get over that hurdle, I think, still.
I've been over that for about 6 years.
You have, so. Yeah. That's true, actually. That is a good point. But anyway, we are about to talk about Sony State of Play, and you guys know how we do here. We blow out events unlike anyone else. We're going to take you through all the big games that were shown off in the State of Play. We're going to provide analysis of each one, and unlike pretty much any other gaming podcast on the planet, we are going to show you footage of the games. I know, it's really bizarre, Matt, that people think that someone wants to look at their face for 3 hours straight, but we understand. You guys are here to check out the games. Our content is all about the games first. So anyway, we're about to rock out the Sony State of Play. The Sony State of Play. But before we do that, of course, here's a word from our awesome sponsor, LS Cream. It's LS Cream, the fine cream liqueur crafted by fellow gamer and sifter, Stevens Charles. Inspired by the Haitian drink Crémasse, LS Cream delivers an award-winning experience with every single pour. One sip and you'll see why. It's a party favorite. The silky blend of fresh cream and premium neutral grain spirits mixes great with everything. I dare you to put a shot in your coffee. I've been drinking it for years and still, I find new combinations that taste incredible. LS Cream is the kind of drink that keeps surprising you thanks to its notes of vanilla, cinnamon, nutmeg, and coconut. Take it to any gathering and watch it steal the spotlight. We've never seen anyone resist. Ready to join the fan club? Head to creamls.com/sifted for recipes, retailers, and online orders. That's creamls.com/sifted. Well, it's time to get on with GameFace episode 468. Obviously, we're going to kick it off with easily the biggest thing that happened this week, Sony's State of Play. I mentioned in the show intro that it was kind of like a mini E3 in February. We're not going to talk about everything that was in it because it would take the whole episode to talk about everything. So, as usual, I did pluck kind of the bigger stuff. We're going to talk about the headline grabbers that were in part of the show. But generally, holy crap, man, because at this point, no one's competing with PlayStation to get stuff like that in their show. So they have first dibs on pretty much everything that's out there that's available, and it really came shining through in this State of Play. Probably the biggest headline just generally from this whole thing is God of War. And there is a God of War trilogy remake in the works I believe Sony Santa Monica is doing the heavy lifting on this. Has that been determined
I
yet?
haven't seen any kind of detail on that.
I mean, their logo does pop up in this, but you don't really know whether it's just them consulting on it.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely involved, but I don't know. I think I saw somebody who's actually making it, but I don't remember what it was.
Well, the other problem, too, is that whenever I work on our B-roll, I cut out all the logo screens and everything, so it's just clean footage, so we're not going to have it in here.
I feel like there was a logo where I'm like, okay, I can't remember.
Unfortunately, I took it out of this because that's how I handle our B-roll for GameFace, but it is...
Yeah, this being the only first-party thing was odd to me. Yeah, there's a lot of great third-party stuff in this state of play, but this is actually the God of War thing was the only new third-party thing they showed.
Yeah.
Or first-party thing they showed, rather.
What does this tell you, Matt, that they're going back to remake the first 3 God of War games?
I mean, I think it's a good thing because that collection is trapped on the PS3. So, I mean, and there's other stuff that... This was actually a really good state of play for rescuing things from the PS3. A couple of my top picks are being pulled off.
Yeah.
So, I'm on board with that. I mean, I think it also means that we ain't seeing the next actual God of War for a while. We're probably looking at PS6 for that, I think.
So here's the thing. There were rumors for 2 games for Sony Santa Monica that have been floating around for years now. One was that the next God of War was going to be based in Greece. And so we had a game page.
And it kind of is.
And it is.
It is.
So ultimately, the rumors were kind of right. They just didn't realize they were remaking the original games. But the next big...
Or that maybe it was a reference to the side-scroller.
Could be.
That they shadow dropped.
That could be too. Maybe, they're just like, why are we making new games when you can remake the old games and in a lot of cases make more money than if you made the new game?
I think it's more that, like, especially with the God of War TV show coming up, you want all of these games available for people who want to come discover the series. And some of them are going to want to discover the Sad Dad version, and some of them are going to want to go back to the original. And I think the originals are still really good, and they're worth preserving, and they're worth having on modern systems, so I think this is a good move.
Yeah, so the rumors were there was a Greek game coming from Sony Santa Monica, which appears that this trilogy remake collection is what that was about. And then there's another rumor that's been making the rounds from Sony Santa Monica that is that they're working on a brand new IP. And I'll just say, being friends with Cory Barlog on Facebook, where you kind of really get to know people, it's not like Twitter where they're guarded. I think that they're working on a new IP based upon some of the stuff that
my guess for Sony Santa Monica is we see a new IP on the PS5, but we don't see the next full God of War until PS6.
Right, that'd be my guess too. But anyway, we have no release date for this. Did they say it's early in development or something? I think they said that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's this year.
Yeah, they said development is in the early stages. I quoted that.
So you're probably, I mean, this could be 2 years out.
Yeah. So there will be a nice gap between God of War releases at that point. So
I would guess probably 2028. We maybe get this, and then maybe we get
2030 for the
2030, 2031
launch.
for that. Yeah, possible.
Because that's what it's looking like right now.
But somewhere in there, I think we do get whatever that original IP is that Santa Monica has been rumored to be on.
Yep. So anyway, again, that's the God of War trilogy remake, and no release date for that yet, but we're thinking 2028 roughly, something like that. And then next up, definitely the biggest surprise of this whole press conference was God of War Sons of Sparta, a 2D side-scrolling take on the God of War franchise that serves as a prequel to the franchise. So I'm curious, was Ascension later than this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He's a kid in this.
He's a boy in this.
Ascension is after he's working for Ares.
Okay.
Like, it's probably like 2 years before God of War 1.
And this is him and Deimos. Is that how you say his name?
Or Deimos, I
Deimos.
think.
As boys growing up together.
He's got a moon of Mars named after him.
What do you think of the look of this game? Because if you actually watch some of the follow-up stuff, this game was something else. And they woke up one day and were just like, why don't we just contact Sony Santa Monica and ask if we can turn this into a God of War game? And they did. They emailed him the next day, and Sony Santa Monica was like, yep, we love it. And they turned a game that they were already working on into a God of War game. What do you think of this, Matt? David Jaffe came out, was it yesterday or the day before, saying he hates it, that it's a slap to the face of the people who made the original God of War games, and it's an embarrassment.
I mean, I don't agree with any of that, but I also don't really have any interest in it.
I don't either. So, Matt, notice neither one of us played it.
No.
And, as I was preparing the show last night, I was like, wait a minute, like, neither one of us played Sons of Sparta. No. And I had no interest in it. Plus, I'm playing other stuff that we're going to get to later on in the show.
Yeah, I had a pretty busy week also. But I did not play this mostly by choice.
I just didn't have an interest in it.
I'm not interested. I don't care about this era of his life. I think I got it. Like, I think I know what happened to Kratos before he was the God of War. Yeah. I think the Sony Santa Monica games, like Dave Jaffe's correct in the sense that I think the Sony Santa Monica games start the story where it needs to start. Like it started the interesting part, basically.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little tired of these like side-scrolling combat action games. We got a lot of them
because we've been playing them for 40 years, man.
Yeah, but like there've been a little bit of a renaissance of them, but like I just feel like it's just been done. No, I would never know this is God of War outside of like obviously his shield has the Sparta logo on it, and he's certain shots he's got the red tattoo on his eye. Like it's there, but it didn't surprise me at all to learn that it was not originally a God of War game.
Well, you can see in these trailers, there's moments in these where they try to show you this is God of War. Like the ending shot of their trailer, it shows Kratos jumping in, he's going to dive the spear into the head of this monster, but it's just in 2D, it just doesn't sell
track the same way. It doesn't feel like the same world. Like it's cool that they shadow dropped it and it was like, that's a fun way to do this. But it was like, oh wow, new God of War! Like to drop it right now. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I think there's a reason that like Sony went out of their way to make sure the handheld God of Wars were still 3D action games.
Yeah. AJ says I want to play it, but not for $30. I'm surprised that so many people are hung up on the price.
$30 is a lot for that.
Yeah.
Like I know $30 has been kind of for things like the Prince of Persia one and the Pac-Man one, Shadow Labyrinth or whatever. But I don't know, like something about that doesn't look like it should be $30.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to put it. It feels like I might have impulse bought at 20, but I'm not going to spend 30 on that.
Okay, we're going to move on to the next game we want to discuss from the State of Play. And again, this is like a little E3 press conference we got going on here. Next up, I want to talk about Control Resonant. They showed a big chunk of gameplay from this game, and Matt, they're still saying 2026 for the game.
Yeah, they did double down on 2020. Still no date, but they said
which
this year.
Which still doesn't mean it's coming out this year.
No, but they did like kind of make a point of saying we'll see you this year for the. I mean, they didn't just throw a little graphic up. They had a human being say like we can't wait to share this with you in 2026. So they clearly think it's 2026 right now.
And they very easily could have delayed it. And then I'd have been like, oh, what a horrible pick for my fantasy team. But instead, they've sustained my hope for another 3 or 4 months.
This would have been a time to push it back. I think if it gets past June without a delay, you're looking pretty good.
I think it may be all right, yeah. What did you think about what they showed here? Because this is a huge departure from Control. It's a big departure.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
It looks cool. It looks like a really cool action game.
It looks like a cool. I mean, I don't think I necessarily recognize it as Control.
Right.
Outside
is that a good or a bad thing?
Outside of the UI, like I can see it in the presentation. I think it's kind of a bad thing in the sense that I really liked what Control did. I like that kind of SCP, like weird X-Files-y sort of thing. Also, where are there casinos in New York?
Yeah, well, this is in the future, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, there's casinos everywhere now.
This like Inception thing is cool where you can walk on the sides of like controlled gravity and stuff.
Yeah, there's no up. It's like hard, you can go wherever you want.
It's hard to say because, like, on one hand, I really like Control. On the other hand, it's kind of the only Remedy game I really like. So I'm not really in the position to say like I trust Remedy because actually I
really don't.
I don't really like a lot of their gameplay. Yeah. I like their presentation. I like their style. I like their stories.
I like Control.
I like their characters. But I didn't really like Alan Wake 2 as a game.
I didn't either.
Neither
one of us did.
So I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about this, but I'll certainly play it. I'm certainly into it.
So it just came out
I hope it does come out this year.
Yeah, it just came out this week. The Control has only sold 5 million units. And now you may be saying, Shane, what do you mean only 5 million? It was a Game of the Year winner.
Yeah.
It may be the lowest selling Game of the Year winner ever, maybe.
Probably not.
No?
I'd have to look at some stuff.
It's close.
But like, also, I think a lot of those sales were after it hit deep discount.
When it was like €5, $5.
Or when it like got its ultimate edition.
So my point is, it didn't sell extraordinarily well. Maybe it is smart to kind of
do something in the same universe, but kind of flip the script on it.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing saying you better keep it the same or you won't have the success you had before with any of Remedy's games, really, except for Max Payne.
Yeah.
Really, I think their best revenue source coming up seems to be that Max Payne remake collection thing that they're working on with Rockstar, consulting on with Rockstar.
Yeah. So Remedy's calling this an action RPG.
Sure.
The first Control, it was just an action adventure. They're calling this an action RPG, which I was kind of surprised by. And then obviously the focus in this whole demo is on on gravity anomalies, and the fact that there really is no gravity in this game at all. You can walk on pretty much any wall. And then of course the big weapon is this big hammer. It's called the Aberrant weapon.
Aberrant.
Aberrant.
Like aberration.
Yeah. And it's a shape-shifting weapon. It's also kind of like a multi-form melee tool as well. But he also has other powers that extend beyond the weapons. Like he has like force powers where he can like push and do things like that as well. And the biggest thing here, Matt, is that it's an open world. Well, it's not open world. It's like God of War open world. Mm-hmm. But if you remember Control, like once you got into the building, it was just this corridor game pretty much with some bigger rooms. So that's a big departure for this, that it is completely open world and you can kind of go wherever you want and do what you want to, instead of following a linear path. So
I don't really care about true open world versus just big open areas.
Yeah, as long as you have room to navigate.
Because load times barely exist anymore, so who gives a shit?
It really doesn't
if you
matter.
go through a door and it loads something.
No, it's
like
true.
It doesn't really. That used to be a big deal because it meant you didn't have to wait for anything.
Yeah,
and now
with
it's just not
SSDs
true
now,
anymore.
it's not really a thing anymore. So anyway, that's Control Resonant. As of right now, they're still saying it's coming out this year in 2026, but stay tuned. That could definitely change any month now. But for now, if you picked it on your fantasy team, it looks like you're safe. We'll see if that lasts. But I was pretty impressed with that gameplay trailer.
Yeah.
I felt like the debut trailer was pretty coy and didn't reveal much.
Binge Watcher does note that one of the things Jaffe says having a teen rating for a God of War game is dumb, which I did. That is actually one of the things that doesn't track watching that, is that he's not tearing those guys apart.
Yeah.
Like that, there's no violence.
And my guess is because the original game did not
have support that. Yeah.
They're like, well, we'd have to delay the game 2 years to add the gore or whatever. They're just like not going to do it. So
I don't know. I don't think about that as like part of the God of War identity, but it is.
It is. It absolutely is. Remember ripping his head off and the sinew and everything?
Yeah.
Like, I'll never forget
But again, that is also just as juvenile and stupid as the sex scenes.
Of course it is.
Which is why I don't think they're going to get rid of any. I think that's part of the game. I think that's the charm of the game.
And
if you want to call it the charm of the game. But it is. I mean, and now it feels like a relic, but that's also a kind of charm.
Part of the story. Absolutely. Yep. Next up, a game that nobody had heard of before this state of... Well, we had heard of it. We had a game page for it on SIFTD, but it had just been mentioned in one of Krafton's financial reports at the end. They're like, oh, yeah, we're working on this other game, blah, blah, blah. And most people ignored it. We did create a game page based on it, and now it's finally been revealed. It is a game called Project Windless. And... it is based on a Korean fantasy novel series called...
Oh, yes, the
bird that drinks tears.
I have actually heard of this.
Yeah, and most people have not, though. And so people were very surprised to find out that this is a crazy, gory action game that stars a massive frickin' chicken.
Yeah. Colonel May Fry, we call it.
Colonel May Fry? That's great. That is frickin' hilarious. That's funny. So this is an open world game, unlike Control that looks open world but isn't. This one actually is, and it also has Dynasty Warriors elements to it. It's kind of like you against the masses or whatever.
Yeah, this is apparently it's a prequel to the books.
Is
it? I think. It takes place like a lot of years.
Yeah, I have it in my notes
like
here
1,000 years or something before.
It is. It's 1,500 years before the original story. During a largely unexplored mythical age that Krafton says enables the game to serve as an entry point for global audiences while also expanding the universe for longtime fans. Are there longtime fans of this?
In Korea, yeah. This is kind of like Witcher in Korea. It's a big deal there.
Oh, okay.
And it's a big deal enough that I've heard of it.
Kind of like Journey to the West in China?
No, this is a modern book.
But I'm just saying it's this literary work that is a big
It's
deal.
not literary. It's like Witcher. It's a modern fantasy work.
I see. Gotcha.
It is a it's a fantasy
It's
work.
modern. It wasn't written.
It's not ancient. No.
80 years ago.
No, this is like The Witcher.
Okay.
It's a modern, as far as I understand it, is a modern novel series. I believe the author's still alive and writing more. I think it's an ongoing series.
While you do handle most of the combat by hand with pushing buttons and moving the sticks, there's also a tactical element to this. And they've been doing that with the Dynasty Warriors franchise off and on.
But I've never found that they've done it to the degree I want them to.
Right.
So maybe this will.
Yeah, because it's always been annoying in the Dynasty.
It's annoying,
Warriors.
and it doesn't really feel like it matters to the point that it doesn't feel like it matters to the point that it affects how the battles play out in a real way. Like I want to have that, sort of like what the Total War does, where it's like your choices on that larger scale determine what the battle you then fight on the ground is. Mm-hmm. And in Dynasty Warriors, it's always still like, well, you're still just going to go to this same map and have the same objective and fight the same things.
How did this get greenlit?
It's a giant hit in Korea.
Yeah.
It's like, how did The Witcher get greenlit?
Does Krafton do most of his business in Korea?
I don't know if that's most of his business in Korea,
but PUBG is its big game.
But more and more, there's no reason something that's a big hit one place can't be a big hit another place.
Yeah.
So
now more than ever. Yeah, for sure.
And like everybody wants the next breakout thing. We don't get enough of these big epic action RPGs on this kind of production scale. Like, so there's a thirst in the market for it. So I totally understand why it exists, especially if you can make some. I mean, everyone remembers the fucking game with a giant chicken in this state of play. Standing out is an achievement, and they did it with a Korean fantasy novel series prequel where you play as a giant friar. Like, Leslie escaped with a chicken.
It does feel a little bit like these are the extremes that you have to go to in 2026 to generate attention. This, I think, is coming in 2027, but they didn't give a hard date for it, but that seems to be about when it's coming.
If it was coming this year, we've got more details.
Definitely. But it's looking pretty damn cool. Definitely one of the highlights of this state of play that nobody saw coming, which is pretty awesome. Next up, I think another game that's going to start creeping up people's most wanted lists is Star Wars Galactic Racer. So they put out a gameplay trailer for this, for the state of play. It's only about 90 seconds long, and you're watching it right now. But it shows a lot in that 90 seconds.
And most importantly, it shows that pod racing is in the game.
Yes.
Which is, I think, one thing everybody was wondering.
Yep. Pod racing is definitely... It sounds like every discipline that you can think of across the Star Wars mythos is going to be brought in here. And the other kind of big revelation in this trailer is that there's sort of like a story-driven component to the game where you're on foot and talking to other characters and things like that. Now...
I kind of expected something like that because Disney is so in on everything being canon and having some kind of narrative connection to things, so that does make sense.
This is being made by former Criterion developers, and it is a track-based racer, so it's not an open-world racer like they've been making for the last 15 years. And they're very excited about going back to a track-based racing game.
I'm very excited about them going back, because I tell you... Last week, I got an HDMI adapter for my original Xbox, and I've been playing Burnout 3 again. My save on Burnout 3, the last time I had loaded it up was September 24th, 2004.
That's so awesome.
And that game is still amazing. That game is still so, so good.
That reminds me of that story about that kid whose father died, and he went back and started digging through his dad's Xbox, and he found this racing game.
The Racing Ghost.
And he was able to race against his dad years and years after his father had died. That is just a great story.
But you always got to let him win.
Yeah.
So you don't erase the
right,
ghost.
You can't erase the ghost. Yep, no matter what. So this game, just for me personally, went way up on my hype meter. Coming from a pedigree like Criterion, track-based racer, when all we're getting now is open-world racers. I like track-based racers because you have to learn the nuances, all the shortcuts. As far as like the characters are concerned, it'll feature a good mix of new faces and classic characters. They said probably Luke Skywalker will not ever be in the game because of how the timeline works.
I mean, yeah, we don't really know where Luke is at this point in the new canon. Also, we don't. Why would you want Luke Skywalker in a pod racing game? I mean, I guess
people just want Luke. They talked about a couple gameplay things. They talked about something called the 2-tier boost system. So you have a typical boost where you hit the button and you just get like a turbo boost. But then there's a secondary boost that they call a ramjet that goes really, really fast. But if you use it too long, your ship blows up. So there's a risk-reward system involved in that. And then, like, they talked about the area where you go and you walk around and meet with people. And they said that you can go there and, like, create rivalries there or create allies. And the rivalry system inside the game is a big part that can change, like, every race. You can also...
It kind of reminds me of the revenge system in Burnout Revenge.
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, obviously you can walk around in that, but the racers would remember what you did to them in that game.
Yeah. In that area, you can also upgrade your skimmers and then some other character moments that aren't related to rivals. What else did they say? They talked about some tracks. There's tracks on Hoth, Endor, Jakku, and Tatooine. And they said the racing line will change depending on the vehicle you're driving, the kind of build that you've built within that vehicle, and the environment. Environmental stuff is very, very important in this game and can completely change the trajectory of the race. So everything I've heard about this game so far sounds really cool. Looking at the trailers, the game looks really cool. I'm a big Star Wars nerd. I am down. And again, 2026, supposed to be coming out. PC, PS5, Xbox Series. Would not be surprised if it eventually gets announced for Switch 2 as well. Doesn't look too demanding as far as that's concerned. So anyway, that is Star Wars Galactic Racer, again, supposed to come out in 2026. Next up, another big surprise. Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2. Finally, Metal Gear Solid 4 is leaving the PlayStation 3 for new platforms. The collection also includes Peace Walker. Just enough games to be able to call it a collection.
Yeah, it's 2 plus. There's a third little bonus. thing
there's
there.
like a weird little side
Ghost
thing in
Babel,
there.
I think, the GBA game.
So they're taking the multiplayer out of Metal Gear Solid 4, but they're going to have the multiplayer in Peace Walker for some reason, which is weird, I thought.
There's only so much you can do.
You would think you'd keep the MGS4 and get rid of the Peace Walker multiplayer, but that's not what they've decided to do.
I imagine that it was easier to deal with whatever Peace Walker was doing rather than whatever the PS3 was doing.
That could be, yeah. They're just like, you know what? We got this campaign to run. Like, screw the rest of it. But we've been waiting a long time for Metal Gear Solid 4 to be playable on something besides the PlayStation 3. They gave a whole section of this state of play to Konami.
They gave so much of this to Konami that I was like, are you going to announce you bought them?
No,
like, did Sony buy Konami? They didn't.
Do they own Metal Gear now?
But like, it really felt like they were warming up for
I know, it's what
there.
I thought so. Who would give Konami their own section in a state of play in 2026?
But like,
It was
they had
great.
they
got
delivered
stuff.
the
goods. They actually got the goods. So I'm very happy to see an old publisher like Konami that I really thought was going to go away kind of revive itself and become relevant again.
I mean, I expected this would happen sooner or later because like either that or you basically cancel the Master Collection after one volume.
Right.
Like, it's like you can't skip 4.
Well, I remember we were talking about it. We're like, well, what's going to be in Volume 2? Because we assumed they'd never get MGS4.
No, I said it had to be in it.
but that was the only option. But we're like, are they really going to do it? This is coming August 27th. This is also multi-platform. It's coming to pretty much everything, so it's not a PlayStation exclusive, but this was the right place to debut it for sure. Because let's be honest, Metal Gear is a PlayStation franchise, just like Grand Theft Auto is a PlayStation franchise.
But it's finally Metal Gear Solid 4, which I did like a lot. I know it's some people hate it, some people don't. All the Metal Gears. It's got their lovers and haters, but it's like it's nice that it's been freed and preserved.
Yep. So I'm excited for this. Will you play MGS4 again, Matt?
I'll try.
Because I've only played it once. I played it when it came out.
I reviewed it.
And that was it. I did not review it. However, our review at Game Trailers for that is one of the most notorious reviews that we ever did. We gave the game a 9.4. And got carpet bombed by hate. And so that was the one time that Game Trailers generated a penny arcade comic was our review of MGS4. We gave it a 9.4, and people were mad. Just crazy, man. So anyway, there you go. That is the Metal Gear Solid Collection Volume 2. Again, coming on August 27th to pretty much all the platforms. Next up, another pleasant surprise, and another one from Konami. A brand new Castlevania game. Castlevania Belmont's Curse, coming from Evil Empire and Motion Twin. Motion Twin did the Dead Cells game, which is a great Metroidvania all on its own.
And had Castlevania tie-ins.
Yep.
So it all tracks.
Yep. And so I can't think of a better studio to work on a new Castlevania than Motion Twin, really. I think they did a great job of choosing a partner for this. What do you think of the look of it? People are pissed off that it's like clean and it's not pixely.
No, what do you think? It shouldn't look
People think it should look
like
pixelated.
Symphony of the Night?
Yeah.
No, fuck that.
Yeah.
It's 2026.
It looks pretty gorgeous.
Like Castlevania has always looked about as good as 2D can look for its time, and that's what it should look like.
To me, Castlevania was the franchise that pushed 2D. Yeah. Like I couldn't wait to play the new Castlevania to see what they got out of the hardware that it was on.
Yeah, regardless of what whether it was Symphony of the Night or whether it was on the DS and 3DS. There was always some of the best looking 2D of its era.
This is coming this year for the 40th anniversary of Castlevania. So not much long to wait. It's announced for PC, PS5, Xbox Series, and Switch, but not Switch 2, which is a little weird. At first, I thought the star was Trevor Belmont, but as it turns out, it's his daughter.
I think it's his daughter.
But it's a descendant of Trevor Belmont.
It's 23 years after Castlevania 3, and it's clearly Trevor reading that letter. So I think it's his daughter.
Yep.
It's his daughter. It is and Sypha's daughter. It's because they got married or they got together. So she's got magic as well as whip skills, obviously, because her mother is a sorceress.
All right. So it's set in 1499, as Matt said, 23 years after Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse. And it's set in France. And that's pretty much all that they told us. It's the first new Castlevania since 2015. Yep. How can you let a franchise like that just rot for a decade or more?
No, you gotta be Konami. And also, to be fair, Castlevania hadn't really been a hit for a while. I mean, they blew it with a couple of those 3D ones, and basically it had survived as like the 2D Metroidvanias under Iga on the Nintendo handhelds, and that was about it, really.
But again, that's coming this year for PC, PS5, Xbox Series, and Switch. Castlevania Belmont's Curse. Next up, more Konami, a brand new Silent Hill game. We mentioned, what was it? A couple weeks ago that Konami mentioned it wanted to make Silent Hill an annual franchise. And I really bristled at that and thought it was a terrible idea. But now that I've seen Silent Hill Townfall, maybe it's not that bad of an idea. Because what they're doing is they have different developers working on these out of house. This is not Konami making this. And as long as they stagger them in such a way and get the project scheduled in time, conceivably you could pull a Call of Duty and put out a new Silent Hill every year, every other year. This one's different too. This is a first-person game instead of like third-person, which is pretty much what most people assume Silent Hill is. And it'll be interesting to see if fans are not cool with that or not. What about you? How do you feel about it?
I think it's fun. I mean, look, Silent Hill is like there's no such thing as an integrity of Silent Hill. Like the last good Silent Hill game was 3.
Yeah.
And I mean F was good, but
it was good.
But it's just got the Silent Hill name on. Like if you want to turn this into, I mean, I love the little like T's there where it's like S-I, no, it's S-T. You're in Scotland. Fuck you.
This game is made in Scotland and it's set in Scotland.
Oh, very Scotland.
Yeah.
But if you want to just turn Silent Hill into like mentally unstable person in a weird town, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, because guess what? Mentally unstable person goes to same town over and over again. Did not work. So why not try it this way?
Yeah.
Sure. And like, you know what? Another outlet like for kind of like a big to mid budget horror franchise. We don't really have a lot of those.
No, you're right.
Like other than Resident Evil, which a lot of people would argue is horror is secondary on that one to the action they do now.
Yeah.
Which honestly is how I prefer it. So it's not like I'm complaining.
Yeah.
But like there's room for this.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. There may be some kind of a roguelite element to this as well, because he mentions the voiceover for the lead character says, I woke up in the water again, and there he is. It's St. Amelia, Scotland. I think they've already dispelled the idea that you have to have a Silent Hill game in Silent Hill. So I think they've already kind of gotten fans over the idea that every Silent Hill game needs to be set in Silent Hill. The protagonist's name is Simon Ordell, and he can defend himself with planks of wood like you always can in Silent Hill games, pipes, and he actually has a gun at a certain point in the trailer as well. But he can also use stealth to sneak and hide using that little portable CRTV device that he has. So the tool is used to deliver narrative, Konami said, but you can also tune to it while you're playing. It allows you to see the outlines of enemies while you're hunkered down behind cover. So it is a gameplay device as well as a plot device. So it does feel like this Silent Hill is going to be different than other Silent Hills, and I think that's the only way.
The last one.
Yeah, and I think that's the only way you can keep putting them out consistently and not have people sort of sour on them.
Yeah, and then like you mix in remakes of the originals, from Bloober periodically to remember what Silent Hill started at. I think you buy yourself about a decade with that, because you've done 2, they're working on 1. You can do 3 and 4. Yeah, you can do 4 if you absolutely must. And then you be interspersed with other stuff. You've got a yearly franchise. You've gotten through about 6-7 years at that point, and then you're in the next generation. You can kind of reevaluate how it's going at that point.
Yep. This is also 2026. It's announced for PC, PS5, and Xbox Series. But we do not have a hard release date. But anyway, if you played the last Silent Hill that just came out and were impressed with it, then you probably have a more auspicious perspective on this as well. Next up, my buddy Yosuke Hayashi-san shows up to deliver some stuff from Team Ninja. First, he shows off Dead or Alive 6 Last Round, which is the latest Dead or Alive upgraded for PS5 and Xbox Series. And then he shares this, which is Dead or Alive 7. They haven't called it Dead or Alive 7 yet. It's like it's new Dead or Alive game right now, but you know it's going to be called Dead or Alive 7 ultimately.
They're not shy about their numerals.
Yep, but they didn't really share anything else other than this little tease that shows a couple different characters and boobs. Just like, yep, the boobs will still be in there.
Yeah, there's 2 characters they showed, and neither of them are Ryu Hayabusa. Let's put it that way.
Well, you mean 3 characters.
Yeah.
It's not Ryu.
No, we don't acknowledge Ryu in this. It's amazing to me they're still making these.
Well, I mean, it's been a while since DOA 6.
Yeah, but it's just like it gets no traction in the fighting game community, really. It gets no traction in the tournament scene. I've never seen a single human being talk about DOA 6. It's
a different kind of fighting franchise. Like, a lot of it is about the environment. Like, you can bash, like, the opponents off of walls. Like,
right.
And it's set up that way.
And the paper, rock, scissors, like, counter system. I mean, I like the DOA games.
I do,
but
too.
It's just amazing to me they keep making them, because it feels like no one cares.
So anyway, that's Dead or Alive 7. What we saw there is all we got. They didn't talk about when it's coming out, what platforms, or anything. They're just like, we're working on it, and that's pretty much it, and that's all we got. Next up, I was surprised by this, but then I was like, why am I surprised? It's Kena, Scars of Cosmora, a sequel to Kena, Bridge of Spirits, which was this little kind of indie-ish game that came out early. Was it early in the PS4's life cycle?
I think it was launch window, I think.
Yeah.
It was very early, yeah.
And it was good at the time.
It was good. Yeah, I liked it.
Both of us liked it. But it's been so long.
It's been a long time, and I don't think there was any ever, like, solid idea of how well it sold or if it was going to,
And I don't think it did sell crazy well, but it was a good game. And I think PlayStation sometimes will overlook poor sales for a good game.
Isn't that right, Team Eco?
Yeah, seriously. I mean, it gave Team Eco so much time to work on its games. But anyway, this is also coming in 2026. It's now in an open world. If you remember, the prior game was kind of a corridor-based game.
Yeah, it was more of a Ocarina-style thing.
The last game was from 2021, so it's been about 5 years, which makes sense. It takes about 4 or 5 years to make games now. And the whole sort of objective around it is that she goes to this mysterious island because she believes it is the root of her powers. And she's actually sick of her powers. She wants to get rid of them because she has to rely on this staff to stay alive. And so she goes to this island to try to rid herself of the bad parts of her powers or whatever. And that's kind of the crux of the plot. The other thing that they talked about with this that they said is a big change from the first game is that you have these sort of spirit animals. And I think there was a fox in the trailer. But they said that there's tons of those. And that each one of them is based on an element. And the elements will play into the combat. You'll come up against an enemy that's a fire enemy. You need to use your ice spirit to fight the fire. I mean, we've seen all this a bunch of times. But this game looks great, man. The graphics in this are impressive, and I thought the first game looked really good too.
Yeah, it looks. I like the aesthetic they have for both of these.
For sure. Yeah, she's older, so it's set several years after the first game. Now she's considered like a renowned spirit guide instead of being like the young protege that she was in the first game. They said also that don't be afraid. They haven't completely abandoned a lot of the tenets of the first game. They said there's still spirits that you have to cleanse and stuff like that. So the core of Kena, did we ever figure out how you pronounce that?
In the little like clip they ran after this with the developers, they said Kena.
Kena.
Like a Kena. Yeah, I was surprised because I'd been saying Kena.
Yeah, we've said it wrong.
But they said they were saying Kena as I recall.
So anyway, this game is also coming out this year, and it is PlayStation 5 and PC, and already announced for PC. So it looks like day one on PC, which is out of the ordinary for PlayStation.
Although it does make sense.
Yeah,
I think.
This game in particular.
This game did find a PC audience when it came out, and they gave it a big update a while ago too.
Oh, really?
Of like with new stuff in it. Like it did get support.
I didn't know that.
After the PC release, as I recall.
So that is Kena, Scars of Cosmora. Coming to PC and PS5 before the end of 2026. Next up, a new John Wick game. A John Wick game that finally uses the freaking awesome combat from the John Wick movie franchise. We've talked about this. Remember there was that game called John Wick Hex that came out, which was this weird, almost like turn-based thing. We're like, what the hell? Like, that's not John Wick. John Wick is this crazy melee combat system where you pull out a gun every once in a while. Finally, one is coming. Now, The caveat here is that this game is not coming from a big, typical AAA publisher. It's coming from Saber Interactive. But I'll say this, even though it's coming from a smaller publisher, they did get Keanu Reeves in the game. So it has his voice, his likeness, and all that stuff, which is a big deal.
Yeah, I think he's more open to this kind of thing after Cyberpunk because that was a positive thing for
I think
him.
he gets it now, that games aren't this weird thing that he doesn't quite understand and is full of, I think he sees the positives in gaming now and being involved with it. So I think he also has learned that the community is much better than he thought it was.
To him, yes.
Yeah, well, he hasn't uncovered the dregs yet of the community. Everybody loves Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Like, even the worst in our community probably love Keanu Reeves and probably were cool with him being in Cyberpunk. So
I mean, if you hate Keanu Reeves, you're wrong.
you are. Like, he's just a legitimately good guy. We really know hardly anything about this. It's coming from Saber Interactive. It's coming to PC, PS5, and Xbox Series.
And it's coming a while from now.
Yeah,
I think, is what I got from this.
It's set years before the impossible task. So to kind of figure out where it is in the timeline and all that kind of stuff. That's all we have on this John Wick game. But again, we've waited forever to have an action game. Do you think we'll be able to pull it off, Matt?
Saber?
Showing a bunch of mocap in a trailer is one thing. Pulling off real-time combat like this is something entirely different. And then there was a bunch of other smaller games. There was this RPG called Crimson Moon, and on and on and on. Like, this state of play was insane. Like, literally something for pretty much every type of player, and in most cases, multiple things for pretty much every type of player. Overall, I think it just encouraged me for the year in general of video games, regardless of whether it's on PlayStation or Xbox or PC or whatever. It's really shaping up to be a great year of games. So they just announced 4 or 5 different games that are coming this year, as of right now anyway. So that just bolsters an already pretty impressive lineup of games for 2026. So overall, this Sony State of Play was awesome, and I think we're going to get a lot more of these going forward because Sony just has to pick of the litter of these games. It's just like, yep, you didn't make it this time, that's cool. We're doing another one in June, and we'll get you in that one.
Experience the realm of extraordinary audio with Soundwizardry. With a decade-long journey in sound design, we animate your movies and video games with the breath of sound. Our wide-ranging services include sound design, Foley, sound mixing and mastering, audio implementation, dialogue mastering, and the crafting of unique sound effects from freshly recorded material. Our portfolio contains Baldur's Gate 3, Steven Universe, Alan Wake 2, Gwent, Cyberpunk 2077, and more. Visit soundwizardry.com and let us transmute your vision into an auditory marvel.
Now, it's time for our first review of GameFace episode 468. We're going to talk about Mario Tennis Fever, the brand new Mario Tennis game for the Switch 2, and it is a Switch 2 exclusive. It is not playable on the first Switch. And if you remember, the last Mario Tennis game was called Mario Tennis Aces. Is that right?
That sounds right.
I think that's what it was. And we liked the game. We thought the gameplay was pretty solid, but our biggest complaint was that there just wasn't any content in the game. Like, you could literally, like, if you didn't want to play it head-to-head against people you live with or play online, like, there wasn't a lot to play. And so that was kind of one of the big things I was looking for with this game, because it wasn't just us that said that, Matt. It was everybody. So when you have a unanimous opinion on a game, you would assume that there would be changes made to the sequel if the publisher is actually listening to feedback. And it's Nintendo. Generally, it usually does, but not always. And now that I've played Mario Tennis Fever...
Is Mario not going to have to answer to the fact that he's teamed up with her kidnapper for this match? And they're like fist bumping each other?
Yeah, they don't do any of that stuff.
No.
They do not look at the canon or anything. This is just a big old free-for-all with all the characters in the game. They do find a way to make Bowser the bad guy in this, though. They set him up as a good guy who's trying to help him, and in the end, of course, he turns heel, and he's actually...
This week in the Winter Olympics makes me want a Super Mario curling.
Oh, God.
Where Bowser keeps touching the thing after he lets it go.
Well, like I said, my biggest concern about this game was that there would be enough modes. And when you first boot up the game and you just look at the list of modes, it definitely seems like there's a lot and enough, and way more than Mario Tennis Aces. And so I was very excited to start playing this game. I was like, all right, here we go.
This doesn't sound good.
You've been trained very well by my tone of voice across the years, Matt. So the main single-player mode in this is called Adventure, and it actually is pretty cool. So Daisy is sick, and you need to get this special fruit to make her feel better. You go to get the fruit, and you get the fruit, but in the course of doing that, a bunch of these monsters appear, and they shrink everybody down into baby size. So you have Baby Mario, Baby Luigi, Baby Peach, etc., etc. And the objective of the game is to, through tennis, get yourselves back to normal size. And apparently how you can do that is to go to this valley where the monsters live and attack the monsters and somehow transform yourselves back to full size. That's sort of the setup for the whole thing. And how it starts out is that you're a baby Mario, and you literally aren't even strong enough to hit the ball over the net. They even make you play a match where you can't hit the ball over the net to show you how weak you are and that you're starting at ground zero. And that's where it all begins. And so the game is kind of split into two halves. Well, they're two parts, but they're not equal halves. So the first hour and a half of this is all training. You are in this kind of little open world hub area where there's a bunch of different training locations, and you go from spot to spot and learn the basics of playing tennis. As you do that, Baby Mario's abilities increase to the point where he can actually hit the ball over the net. And eventually, by the time you get done with all the training, you can basically compete against any of the other characters in the game as Baby Mario. So you're basically in this area at this academy for tennis, and that lasts for like the first hour and a half. And again, you start from nothing and build up Baby Mario to the point where he can compete against the other players. Then it transitions to the second half of the game, where it goes to like this map screen where you go from location to location, playing through, I wouldn't even say matches. And in general, the other thing I would say about the adventure mode is you don't play a lot of matches. Like, you'll do training that'll teach you how to do a lob or topspin or whatever. And then after you finish that training, they'll take you to a, quote, match that literally lasts, like, 40 seconds. Like, you try your topspin 3 times, they're like, you're good, they level you up, and then you go and do your next training. Rinse and repeat until you've learned every ability in the game. And once you do that, you leave the school, and you go on your actual mission to try to resize yourself back to normal size by taking on these monsters in the valley. And at that point, the game shifts to like a map screen, a typical Mario screen like you would see in a 2D Mario game, where you go from spot to spot. But again, you don't play a lot of matches while you're doing this. It's all like these little like mini games that teach you how to like place your shots better, and just tons and tons and tons of boss fights.
So the whole adventure mode is like a tutorial?
It is. I mean, it kind of is, actually. Because even the second half of it, when you're in the valley trying to track down the monsters and return yourself to normal size, you don't play a ton of matches. It's mostly boss fights and just these little, like, weird, like, mini games that, like, teach you how to hit the ball higher. Because as you start playing through some of the matches, like, there's all these weird variants where there's, like, rings in the sky and things like that. And you have to learn how to get your shots exactly where you want them.
I didn't realize the Mushroom Kingdom was so obsessed with tennis. This is a whole backyard of the kingdom we've never seen before.
This is the academy. This is the tennis academy. Okay. This whole section here. This is, and you again.
Bowser doesn't attack this one.
No, you just hang out in this for like the first hour and a half or 2 hours.
Well, I guess he likes tennis, so he wouldn't want to damage.
He don't want to ruin all that. And so again, once you get Baby Mario up to an adequate level, you leave this area, and then it plays like what you would expect the adventure mode to play like. But again, you do not play a bunch of matches. It really is just this hodgepodge of tennis-adjacent activities that you participate in. But this is the type of stuff I'm talking about. These are the things that you do in the single-player mode for the most part.
I did not think you'd be doing that in a tennis adventure mode, I admit.
Now, this isn't teaching you much about tennis. Most of the other ones do. Like for example, one mission is like you're in the bow of a boat, and the boat's on fire, and you need to whack balls of water into the fire to put the fire out. And the fire are at different heights on the wall, so you have to learn how to make sure that you're arcing your shots higher or lower, and you're targeting those exactly. And it also teaches you how to use a new mechanic in this game, which is called the fever shot. And every character has their own abilities and whatnot. You can also choose whatever racket you want them to use. And the rackets have very specific powers. At a certain point in the game, once you've built up the meter, you get your fever shot. And the fever shot, you can hit the other team with it and knock them down, hit them in the body with it. Or you can just hit it so hard that they can't return it. No matter what you do, though, when you hit that fever shot and it lands on the other side of the court, it creates a hazard. So if you have like the fire fever racket and your fever shot lands in the opponent's side of the court, it creates like these little fire pits all over the court that stay there for the entire match. Likewise, if they unload a fever shot on your side, maybe it's an ice shot, you're going to have a pool of ice on your side of the court for the entire freaking match. And I'll just be honest with you, man, I hate it. Like,
that didn't look good in the trailers, but I assume there'd be a way to get rid of it. I guess not.
Well, you can't. So you can... The other thing I'll say is that once you're out of the adventure mode and you're just setting up head-to-head play or playing online, you can remove all that stuff if you want to. You can just play a clean game of tennis if you want to. And if you do, this game plays very, very well. But when you start mixing in the fever shots, which is the game's namesake and the whole reason the game exists, that's when it starts to get dicey. And to me, the matches end up just being all luck. Because it's like you're slipping around or you're getting burnt and like running in circles while the ball is like being played back and forth. And it just becomes so random that it never feels like the best player wins. This is a great playing game of tennis. In fact, it may be the best tennis game on the market if you just play it as a tennis game instead of the wacky over-the-top power-ups and all the stuff that comes along with Mario sports games. The other thing about it is that despite all that and through all that, it only takes 4.5 hours to play through the whole adventure mode. And as soon as I finished it, it was literally 4 hours and 29 minutes, my clock when I finished it. As soon as I finished it, I was just like, man, this would be a great game to rent.
Nah.
Seriously. My mind went back to those days, Matt, when we used to recommend that people rent games instead of buy them or whatever. And I was like, man, if we go back 15 years from now, I would be recommending people go to Blockbuster and go pick this thing up and play it for a day for $5 and then return it.
Nowadays, you'd have to, if you found a Blockbuster, you'd have to excavate it.
Well, you'd be in Alaska. I think, or wait, Portland, I think is the last
Bend,
Blockbuster.
Oregon.
Bend,
is
Oregon.
the last
yeah.
Blockbuster.
You'd be in Oregon. This game is $70, and so you're asking $70 for a single-player mode that lasts 4.5 hours, and like, I wasn't sick of the single-player mode when it ended. Like, it could have been longer if they had just spent more time developing it, and I would have been cool playing more of it, but it just ends. Like, when I first saw that map screen, I was like, oh, this is probably the first map of like 4 or 5. Nope, there's just the one, and there's like 8 different stops on that map before you fight the final boss. I still had a lot of fun with the adventure mode. The boss fights are really cool. You'll see some of those in the B-roll coming up here in a little bit. It can get a little too crazy where you cannot tell like where your character is and your teammate is because there's like 5 explosions on your side of the court or whatever, and it just all jambles together. There's just lots of reasons why I would prefer to play this without the crazy over-the-top stuff. But at the same time, that can be fun. You just have to kind of put your competitive nature on hold. Some of the other single-player modes that you can play, there's a tournament mode where you go through a ladder of opponents and you have to play with the same character the entire time. There's another mode called Trial Towers where it's just a tower of opponents that you have to beat under special conditions. And that's kind of fun because it will just start a match and the whole court is ice. Or there's 20 fires on the court. Or there's tornadoes flying all over the court. And then there's free play. There's a mode called Mix It Up, which is also kind of like the Trial Towers, except it's not a tower of opponents, but it also uses like unique rules and setups. And then there's ranked and unranked online play, and that's pretty much the full gist of all the modes. So ultimately, my big question when we started talking about this here on the show was, hey, does this have more modes and options than Mario Tennis Aces? And while it does, it's still its biggest Achilles heel, is that there's just not enough content for the asking price. At $70, I mean, you're basically buying a multiplayer game and 4 hours of play for $70. Again, if you have a brother or a sister or you're a parent and you have kids, this game is probably a good buy because it's a sports game, and if you're competitive, it's endless replay value. Is this better than Mario Tennis Aces? I think it is. Like, I'm pretty much graphically, audio, like this Nintendo game lets you turn down the music, Matt. I know, it's a revelation. Nintendo games never let you do that, and this one does. Like, it's a very polished product. The craftsmanship is there. It's just, there's just not a lot of staying power for it unless you plan on playing against other people competitively.
You know what often helps people get better at tennis?
Playing
tennis.
Yep.
I don't know if the Academy has considered that.
Now, I'll say this, Matt. Like, these things that you're seeing right here, like, it does make you better at the tennis in the game. Because, like, this is teaching you how to, like, lob a shot short and long. And then eventually it teaches you how to use your fever shot, too, to target very specific things. Here's all the characters. So there's almost 40 characters in this. And they are all from the Mushroom Kingdom.
Yeah, although a bunch of them are the babies. I don't know if I count those.
Yeah, that's a little slimy, trying to include those. But yeah, there's almost 40 playable characters. And as you can see, each one of them has a different ratings in 4 different categories. There's not as many rackets. So there's not like 40 fever rackets, unfortunately. I think when I wrapped up playing this, I had unlocked maybe 15 of them or something like that. Because you're going to run out of concepts for a racket eventually. Because each racket does something different and unique. It'll send out tornadoes or fires or whatever. Here you can see at this point I had only unlocked not many. But there's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 times. So there's 30. Actually, there is 30 fever rackets. That's pretty good. I never lost a match, ever. The whole time playing through the single player. Not even close. I think I lost maybe like, not even a set the whole time. So it does become a little bit of like a means to an end eventually. It's not like there's very little challenge in the game. You're just fighting one opponent after another. And the fun comes from the situations that they kind of place you in. And that's how I eventually kind of learned to embrace sort of the wackiness of the game. Because that's really where you're going to get the entertainment from if you're playing by yourself. So again, I would not buy this if you plan on playing it by yourself, unless you're just wealthy and you don't care about money. And there's lots of people out there like that. I had fun with it. It's not $70 worth of fun, though. That's for sure. And now you're seeing there the fever rackets I was talking about. See how there's fires there? Now you have to navigate those fires the entire match. And it's annoying. It gets really annoying. Yeah, I mean, it's better than Mario Tennis Aces, but if I still can't recommend that people buy it at full price, is it? We're going to talk about Suda51's new game. I'm surprised you didn't play this, Matt.
I honestly completely forgot about it.
Really? Because I thought for sure you would play this. Because you generally like quirky Japanese stuff.
I do like Suda's stuff mostly, but I think he's been on a bit of a cold streak lately.
I would agree. What was his last game? Exactly. Nothing memorable. I mean, No More Heroes 3?
No More Heroes 3. I think I want to say there was something in between there. But
wasn't there like a little weird spin-off of No More Heroes that they did?
That was before 3.
Yeah.
That was okay.
Yeah. I mean, the No More Heroes games are okay.
Yeah.
For their time, the first one was interesting.
Weirdly, like I think the subsequent games suffer from not having motion control. Mm-hmm. I think No More Heroes 1 is one of the few games I think needs the motion control to feel dynamic.
Yes, there's crazy moments with the motion controls in that game. But Suda also made Killer 7. You may remember that from the GameCube era. He is known for making quirky, extremely violent, and interesting-looking action games. And this game is no different. Romeo is a dead man. You play as an FBI agent. And
the last thing he did was No More Heroes 3.
That's what I thought.
And then before that was Fire Pro Wrestling World. He was a scenario writer on that. But in terms of being a director, it was that, Travis Strikes Again, and before that, Cine Mora EX and Let It Die.
I forgot about that one. And Let It Die. I think I just excised that from my memory on purpose.
I think a lot of people. So is this related to Killer is Dead, or is it a
This is all
totally
brand
thing?
new. Yeah, this is not related to any prior games.
He just likes to put the word dead in the title.
Yeah. Well, here's the whole setup for the game. You're seeing it right now. You play as an FBI agent. You're driving down the road. You come across this body laying in the road. You run up to try to help the person and see what's going on. And then literally all hell breaks loose. And you're attacked by this crazy interdimensional creature. Your dad helps you. So your dad is like this crazy mad scientist or whatever. And he gets the memo that you've been killed. And here in just a second, he will show up and basically save you. However, in order to save you, he has to turn you into this half man, half machine thing called Romeo. And once he does that, there's this girl called Juliet, oddly enough, that you are obsessed with. And pretty much the bulk of the game becomes you trying to track down Juliet. And she has some kind of a mental disorder or something like that. So it's like she disguises herself as bosses, or you think that she does, but in actuality, it's not her. So it's like this cat and mouse thing. So here, believe it or not, this is your dad who is here with you right now trying to save your life. He lives in this like other dimension or whatever. And after this cutscene,
feels like Suda's been watching Rick and Morty.
Maybe. And after this cutscene, you don't really see him again. He becomes a patch on the back of Romeo's jacket that talks. And he becomes the narrator for the entire game. And he's just a patch on your jacket that's talking. It reminds me a little bit of the doll in Death Stranding.
Reminds me of your boyfriend's head in Lollipop Chainsaw.
That too, yeah. Or the head in God of War Ragnarok. It's like this thing that kind of tags along, provides comedic relief, gives you instructions when you need it and stuff like that. But anyway, your dad has turned you into this crazy dude with the samurai sword, and your objective is to try and find Juliet. And to do that, you go through self-contained worlds. This is not like an open world game. This is literally a game where you have a hub, and then you go from that hub out to the different missions, complete the mission, go back to the hub. So the design of this is very simple. It is a bit of a throwback, and it feels like all Suda's games are kind of this way. Everything in this game is done in like a different way. And if you haven't played Suda's games before, then you wouldn't know that, but that's kind of the way he operates. There's the dad patch that talks to you throughout the entire game. And he's like, what the... Again, another thing that Suda's known for is just non sequitur weird stuff in his games.
Yeah, although also there's a lot of Chainsaw Man here.
No, you're right.
Some of it's just, he just puts what he's into right now. And then like this, you're like, oh, it's just No More Heroes.
The game is split into kind of two sections. You have the real world where you fight these zombies, and then you find these TVs scattered throughout the world. And if you activate them, they will take you to this other world. It's almost like, do you remember Metal Gear Solid VR missions?
Yeah.
Where it's just like this framework that you play.
Yeah, that was also in Travis Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Like a lot of that was in that kind of, that world.
So you go back and forth between the real world and this virtual world. It's just basically all wireframe. And when you're in the wireframe parts of the game, there's no combat. You're basically just traversing. There's some very light platforming involved. You're just trying to find your way through the world and collect several of these keys that then unlocks the gate to the next world that you need to go to. Once you finish the mission, they send you back to your spaceship, your FBI spaceship out in space. And the crazy part about it is, once you go there, the game shifts to 2D. And so the spaceship is all like 16-bit 2D pixelated graphics. And back at the ship, you can do all the stuff you would expect. You can level up your weapons, you can get new weapons, you talk to people. There's a whole system in this called Bastards. And you can see on the bottom right there, this footage, I haven't unlocked it yet. But basically, on the ship, you go to this little area where you plant these seeds, and you grow zombies, basically. And each zombie has a different ability. Sometimes they'll turn into a turret. Sometimes they'll just rush enemies and explode. Sometimes they're just a brain that like pulses out like buffs or whatever. And you grow the bastards in the ship. And once you harvest them and pull them out of the ground, you literally pull them out of the ground like you grew them. You can also then combine them together. So there's this whole system around the bastards that you use. And eventually, once you get them, that menu in the bottom right there, you hit L1 and you can equip up to 4 bastards at a time. And you just tap the button that corresponds to the bastard and send them into combat. And eventually it gets to the point where you need to use those because the game starts to get pretty difficult. There are save points everywhere. Those TVs double as save points. You can also use most of the TVs to go back to the ship whenever you want, which is important because sometimes you get to boss fights and you're like, I can't beat this guy with my current level, or it's going to take me forever to do it. You can go back to a TV, just warp back to the ship, level up your blade, level up your gun, do any other stuff you need to do, raise a bunch of bastards, level up your bastards, then go back and return exactly to that TV and continue the boss fight. So the game is pretty gentle. The combat in this, like I said, you have your sword, and there's like 4 or 5 different swords that you can unlock throughout the course of the game. Your sword levels up as you play. You also have a gun. You're seeing me use it right here. And some of the enemies have weak points on them where you're supposed to shoot. And a lot of the bosses have this as well. It's how a lot of the boss fights work. And you just shoot those spots on them, and it takes them out a lot more quickly. It doesn't work as good as I thought it was going to, though. Like, you would assume if you take out all those spots, it would kill enemies. A lot of times it does not. But that's sort of one of the things that games tries to teach you, is anytime you see one of those flower-like spots on an enemy, you should shoot it with your gun. And again, the gun levels up just like the sword does, but nothing ever really evolves beyond that, Matt. Like what I just described to you, that all happens in the first 2 hours, and that's kind of where the game stays. Like the combat with the sword never evolves that much. Like you have like kind of the same 3-hit combo, 4-hit combo over and over. You can hack and slash with square, and then triangle is your heavier attack. And you have different attacks if you hold in the buttons or whatever and then release them. You get more powerful attacks. But otherwise, for a game that really is 80% what you're seeing right now, the combat does not evolve enough throughout the course of the game, unfortunately. At least I don't think it does. The plot of the game, here's the thing about Suda, Matt, is it almost feels like he just writes down whatever comes to his mind. And in some ways that can be successful sometimes, but in other ways it just kind of becomes messy. So you have 3D visuals in this. Then you go back to the ship. There's 2D visuals. But then the cutscenes, some of them are real time. Some of them are these like comic book things that you look at. Like a lot of the big cutscenes that really move the plot forward, like as you go back to the ship, are just comic book stills. And they don't take the time to create real cinemas and flesh out the story and the plot. And the game, here's what I was talking about earlier. This is the other world that you go to where everything's just wireframe. And there's no combat in these sections. It's literally just all traversal. But generally, the game does feel messy because there's just all these different art styles and like everything's just flashing and moving really fast. And you're like, again, if you played a lot of Suda's games, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're listening to this and you're not watching the B-roll that we're showing right now, you know what I'm talking about. That's the way all Suda's games are. And it feels like it's always hit or miss. It's like sometimes it lands, sometimes it doesn't. And in the context of a single game, it will land or won't land. And that is the case here too.
That's part of the frisson of what makes something like David Lynch interesting.
Yeah.
But the thing is that even though Lynch will never tell you exactly what he's talking about, he's clearly talking about something. Mm-hmm. Like, nothing in David Lynch is there for no reason. He's just not going to tell you the reason.
Why it's there. Yeah.
In this, I think a lot of the reason is just whimsy. Mm-hmm. It's just,
just shock value, I think.
Yeah. It'd be cool if that happened, or it'd be weird if this happened.
Well, it's like the whole...
Or I'm watching Chainsaw Man now, so I'm going to put this in here. Or I've been reading a lot of Western comics, so this is going to happen now.
I'm sure in his mind this all made sense, but when you go to play it, it just feels disjointed, and I will say unique. Like when you play Suda's games, it doesn't feel like you're playing any other game. But sometimes that's for the better, and sometimes that's for the worse, and I feel like this game is kind of a mix of both of those. The other thing, too, is once you go back to the ship and you want to go and play the next mission, you go into the bridge, and you actually control the ship, and you fly the ship to your next destination. You look at a map, and you find your destination, you set your course, then you jump in the captain's seat, and you fly to it. And then you have to like steer and pick up some resources on the way there, but it's pretty non-interactive. Now you're seeing your mom is at the ship, and she makes food for you that you can use for buffs and things like that. And that's part of the game as well, collecting food stuffs that you find out in the world and then bringing them back to mom so she can make you curry and stuff like that. I hardly ever even use those things. The game is not challenging enough that I felt like I need a 10% boost in my defensive stats before I go through this section of the game. I never really got there, to be perfectly honest. So now you're seeing me leveling up the weapons. The leveling up of your weapons is very slow. Like when you go back after you've been out and you fought through a whole mission, you can probably level up your gun or your sword in one category, one level. Like later on, I think there was one time I got 2 or something like that. And there's this weird system where you're collecting space debris while you're out there, and you have to. It just goes on and on with all this weird stuff that none of it kind of snaps and fits together. But again, that's kind of Suda's thing, you know. Yeah. It's just like this avant-garde way of making games.
I mean, you gotta at least admit there's nothing else like it.
There's nobody like Suda 51. I mean, I think most of the things people will complain about are creative choices that Suda made. Not something that's janky or broken in the game, although it did ultimately crash for me. But otherwise, I didn't find any bugs or other issues. Like the craftsmanship here is pretty good. Game also, for a Suda 51 game, probably the best looking Suda 51 game ever released. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is 2026. You would expect, him to get better as time went on. But his games usually aren't technical marvels, is what I'm getting at. And this one is at least on par kind of with the games that we're playing today. Next week, it could be Resident Evil week. But right now, like I say this all the time, I mean it. Go to SIFTD and just, if you have nothing to play, you don't have money to buy a new game right now, go to SIFTD and just go to the early access channel. The only place in the world that you can do this, and SIFTD has tons of places like that, the only place you can do it, but this is another one that's really awesome. Go to that channel, and there is just like 20 games that you can download and play for free. We're the only ones that collect all that stuff in one page. Go there, do it. Go to SIFTD, by the way. If you're not using SIFTD, I don't know what the hell you're doing. You're wasting your time. So go to SIFTD.net if you love video games. It's a great place with great people who are adults that like video games. If you're sick of the crap, dealing with the crap on YouTube, and I am, go to SIFTD.net. A bunch of adults who love video games, and we're still passionate. It's not like we sit there and like fillet each other. We still have spirited discussions around games. We just act like adults when we have them. And we don't denigrate each other or insult each other. We just talk about the game. So head to sifted.net. We'd love to see you over there. Any way you can help us financially or just liking the show, we'd really appreciate it. We'll see you next week, hopefully, for Resident Evil Requiem. You don't know for sure, but maybe. Until then, have yourselves a great week filled with great games. GameFace is up and out.